The Bible's big claim is that reality is a story. That the universe has a beginning, that it's headed somewhere, that it was created with a purpose. That there is an author that lies behind it all. And because this is the universe's big story, it's a story that all of us are caught up in, whether we recognise it or not. This story began before we existed and will continue after we die. Yet, even though this story embraces galaxies and millennia, the Christian conviction is that it centres on a man who lived and died in human space and time. All of reality hinges on Jesus of Nazareth. This was the firm belief of a first century doctor called Luke. Stories about Jesus had exploded across the Middle East, and Luke puts together what he calls an orderly account for his friend Theophilus. Why? Because he wants Theophilus to know that he really can be certain that Jesus is the real deal. That the things he did weren't just make-believe or exaggerated rumours. As you'd hope a doctor would be, Luke says that he's been meticulous. He's carefully investigated everything from the beginning, speaking with those who were eyewitnesses. That's why Luke recounts place names and geographical details that you'd never know unless you'd been speaking to a local. He knew where certain hills were, where sheep were kept, where sycamore trees grew. As Luke tells the captivating story of Jesus, he wants to assure us that he's not made it up. And it means that as we read, we can allow ourselves to be moved by the power of his narrative without the fear that it's make-believe. This story is a fact. Why does Luke want us to have this certainty? It's because of this. He is convinced that Jesus is none other than the author of the story of reality. The God who created everything, writing himself into his own story by becoming a man. And it's only if we get to know Jesus, the author, and it's only as we allow the author to show us what reality is about that we'll be able to make sense of our stories and find the ultimate happy ever after that every story reaches for. And it's because we live in Jesus' universe, and at the deepest level long for Jesus, that so many of the stories we tell have similar shapes and themes. Christopher Booker dedicated 38 years of his life to this idea and claimed that there are 7 types of story which are so fundamental to the way we tell stories that it is virtually impossible for any storyteller to ever break away from them. This term, we'll look at each of these story types, and through reading Luke's account of Jesus' life, we'll see how each of these stories points in different ways to the big story we're made for. And we'll find that knowing Jesus allows us to conquer our deepest fears, discover our true value, lose and find ourselves again, embark on a dangerous adventure, stare our failure in the face, step into the world we long for, and even be made entirely new.